Brian McLogan, and this is week number 80, open live Q&A. I am changing it up a little bit for you tonight as I am just back in town. I just completed a 22-hour trip from on vacation, and so I am not ready prepared. You can see my whole studio and everything is all thrown in a mix because if you have been watching, I did take a lot of my equipment with me, and we just got back literally like a couple hours ago, and I was like, well, I'm going to go live. So if you're just joining onto the stream, you want to know what questions I'm going to be covering, go ahead and, or if you're watching the replay, then feel free to go ahead and check the responses down below in the description, and I will get that timestamped for you guys very shortly into the live stream. I don't have a topic specifically for tonight because I want to do something up. I want to change things up. This is a new kind of school year, and I want to spend the time definitely chatting with you guys in on the stream as well as answering your questions. So we are going to address 3 questions here. I do have them. We're going to cover the graph of the function, y equals x to the 5th plus 5. We're going to cover a kind of like a linear equation where we're going to talk about the scale shown above as balanced, how many cubes weigh the same as one cylinder. And then we're going to end it with a trigonometric equation. So how to solve that trigonometric equation. So it says find the solutions. I'm assuming it's going to be find all of the solutions. And actually, let me stick out the chat. So that's what I'm going to do. I have a couple, there was more questions that were submitted. But one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I wanted to kind of change up a little bit with these live streams was to make sure that I could go ahead and address, make sure I could kind of address more of your questions directly. And then also I wouldn't mind actually doing a little bit more, couple live streams. So, and then also at the end, if you guys do have a little bit more time that you want me to kind of cover with them, then I'll be more than happy to answer or address any more questions for you. So, when you're releasing the pre-calc summer classing. So George, I meant to go ahead and do that, and I really apologize for making that notice because I was like, oh, I'll just go and do that. I'll work on it on the way home. And it wasn't ready yet. So it will definitely be ready by next week. I am off, obviously, for school the week. So it's already done. There's just some things I need to finalize and address. So all of that stuff I am going to be working on during this week. So I will definitely, during my live stream next week, then I will be having that ready for you. And yes, Nishan, I have your questions. And Keyshawn, vertical line test, I can talk about a lot of those. If you do have any other questions that were not submitted, then let me go ahead and address these 3 questions first. And then I'll go and address any other questions for you guys. So unlike other streams where I kind of talked for like 20 minutes, I want to get right into these questions, and then I'll just hang around after that and chat for a little bit for you guys. But I do want to kind of shorten up the live streams a little bit more. So I do appreciate you guys on there. And Christy, how are you? And Z and Keyshawn and Jake, it's good to have you guys on the live stream. It's very weird talking to a camera though that's over here instead of looking over here, because that's where I kind of feel like that's where my camera usually is. Can you help me how to know if a function or non-function? Yes, you'd want to use the vertical line test. Maybe that's what he's done, not the vertical line, so unit circle. Yeah, Keyshawn, I can, after I get through these 3 questions, that will be kind of like my open live Q&A. So if you have some questions after that, I'll go ahead and address them. I love it. I actually only got to like 5 questions on what was submitted. So I just took kind of like the first 3 that was available. And Abar, I believe, maybe. Hello, how are you? Glad to have you on. Please do not spam any further though. You don't need it. I'm doing pre-calc next year. What should I be prepared for? I have a ton of content for you. Make sure that you are in on the next live stream or just following along with my channel. I will be getting a lot more content for you coming up, okay? All right, but right now I don't have anything ready and prepared. So let's go ahead and get right into these questions for you guys. And I apologize, my screen, guys, is in front of me. So that is the way I'm going to talk about. I'll try to remember that. I'll have to keep on going with this. And yes, okay. All right, so graph the function y equals x to the 5th plus 5. So the main thing I think you need to understand about the power functions is like, here's y to the x. All right, so, all right, and then if you were to look at y x cubed, that looks something like this. Okay, that's like their S curve. And then what happens is, as you increase the powers, the end behavior remains the same, right? Because if it has an odd power, then the end behavior is going to be the same. It's going to fall left, rise, right. So what's happening as we get a higher power, and again, you could like use numbers to go ahead and test this out as well. But what's happening is it's getting kind of fatter at that origin. So this little S curve is just getting fatter and fatter, right? And you can even guess what, y x to the 7th would be. So y equals, x to the 7th. That'd look something even more, right? And again, I'm not using any numbers. I just want you to kind of see what's happening with the pattern. So if we understand, like, we have the general idea of the shape, right? It has the end behavior, falls to the left, rises to the right. Then we just need to understand, well, what's happening with the shift. And you can see here what's happening with the shift is being shifted up 5 units. So what we're simply going to do is going to take this graph and then shift it up 5 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all I'm going to do is take this exact same graph, and I'm just going to cover it somewhere else. Blue. There we go. Say, oh, it's going to look, oops. Let's try to make it a little bit more the same. Something like that. So that would be y equals x to the 5th plus 5, right? So it's going to be the original parent function and then just shift it up 5 units. All right, let's get into the next equation. All right, so the next equation says a scale shown above is balanced. How many cubes weigh the same as one cylinder? Okay, so what we basically want to do is we don't know how many cubes land in the cylinder, right? And so a couple different ways you can kind of do this. Like you can think about like, well, I have 2 of these. I don't know how many cubes we have in these, but we can say like I have, you could say like two of them, right? Or actually let's call these cylinders. So let's say 2C. All right. And then here I have 2C plus these 3 blocks. And that has to be equal to how many blocks here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Equals 13 blocks. And basically what we're going to do is say, well, how many blocks are in these cylinders? So what happens is if I subtract 3, I get 2 cylinders equals 10, divide by 2, and then C equals 5. Now let's see if that works, right? Let's see if that makes sense. If we're saying that there are 5 blocks in these 2 cylinders, well, let's check that out. So we'd say 5 plus 3, that has to equal 13. Right? And again, you can see that, oh yeah, that does work. So you can see that it is verified. All right, last question. The next one is solve and find the solutions. 2 sine squared of x plus 3 sine of x plus 1. And, okay, and it doesn't say find all solutions. I'm going to go ahead and find all the solutions. So we have 2x squared. 2 sine of x squared. 2 sine squared of x plus 3 sine of x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so in this case, the main thing that we need to understand is this is a trinomial, all right? And the main idea that we're going to want to approach here is going to be start with factoring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of forget about trig for a second, and I'm just going to rewrite this as a quadratic. Now, the reason why I'm going to do that is that's going to help me set this up as like a factoring. Think about this as a quadratic equation that I can factor. So if I could set this up as a product of 2 binomials, I could say that would be, let's see, what, 2x plus 1. And this would be what, sine 2x plus 1. Okay, now I have let's see, that works. Yep, that works. So now I can set each factor equal to 0. And therefore I'd have 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. And then x plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so therefore x equals -1/2, and here x equals -1. Okay, now that's how we do it for quadratics. Now the same thing is going to be applied for our trigonometric functions. So here, all we're simply going to do, all right, is instead of using x, we're going to use sine of x. So this is really 2 sine of x plus 1, and this is going to be a sine of x plus 1. All right, now again, we can apply the 0 product property. So 2 sine of x plus 1 equals 0. And here, a sine of x plus 1 equals 0. Now we'll just subtract the 1, right? Divide by 2. So we could say a sine of x is equal to -1/2. And here you could say a sine of x is equal to -1. Now, here we found our solve for x. But here, it's the sine of x equals to -1/2. The sine of x is equal to -1. So now what we simply need to do is we need to now we need to use the unit circle to kind of understand our trigonometric functions, basically looking for our values. When is the for what angles x are we going to achieve at -1/2 and -1? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of create the unit circle over here. Okay, and let's see, -1/2. So the y coordinate. So remember, the -1/2 is going to be the y coordinate. So we're looking at that's going to be here and here. And let's see about what are those coordinates going to be. Well, this angle, let's see, that's going to be negative square root of 3 over 2, -1/2, right? Okay, so the first angle, this angle, is going to be that's 6 pi over 6, that'd be 7 pi over 6. And then this angle is going to be 11 pi over 6. And then the last one is this point, right? Because here we have negative square root of 3 over 2, comma -1/2. And then this angle is positive square root of 3, comma -1/2. And then this point is 0, comma -1, right? And that angle right there is going to be 3 pi over 2. Okay, now what I want you to understand about these three dots, there's no equal spacing between any of these 3 dots, right? So, or these 3 angles. So what we're going to need to do to solve these equations is we're going to be adding 2 pi to each one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have a couple solutions. I have x equals a 7 pi over 6. I have x equals a 11 pi over 6. And I have x equals a 3 pi over 2. Okay, now those are the 3 solutions on the interval 0 to 2 pi. Now, if I wanted to find all the solutions, all I'd simply need to do here is just add a 2 pi n to each one of these. And what I mean by 2 pi n is if you have that angle and then you add 2 pi, what that's doing is that's just going around the unit circle again. It's going to keep on landing on the same angle or terminal point, giving you the same solution. So if I add 2 pi to this, I can say this would be, so x equals 7 pi over 6 plus 2 pi n. Here, x equals 11 pi over 6 plus 2 pi n. And here, x equals 3 pi over 2 plus 2 pi n. And this would be all our solutions. Okay, so that's the basic kind of difference between the solutions between 0 and 2 pi and all of the solutions. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. If you're looking for if you want to know when I directly get these and looking on the replay, you can go and check out. We'll have all these time-stamped for you guys later. But now we'll just get into the open live Q&A portion. So I'll just be happy to answer any other questions that you guys, kind of have. Be on for a little bit more. I think maybe I'll try to increase this on to maybe 5, maybe a little bit more questions into this because, I kind of took those a little bit quicker and it was kind of fun. And usually a lot of times when school starts, I get a ton of questions and I'm just not able to answer everything. But I wanted to make sure I could have, some kind of time for you guys to answer your questions and maybe do an extra little Q&A. So let's go and see who else is on and maybe I can answer any other questions you guys have. Brett, thanks for answering your systems of equations. Well, awesome. Happy to be able to help you out. And hey, Jacob, how are you? Vishnu says, hey, Brian, you should know that I am from India and it's the mornings. It's awesome. It's 6:44 is early to get up. What do you say? Well, hey, I say that's awesome. I wake up early. Since I've had my 3rd daughter, it's kind of messed up my whole sleeping schedule because typically I'd wake up at 4:30 every day. And even during the summer, that's the time I usually wake up. That's when I can do a lot of my work because obviously when you have kids, and you teach during the day and then you go home and it's busy and you just never have time for anything else and you try to do stuff. So it becomes very difficult in that more. So that's why I, wake up early. But I appreciate you starting your day with a little math education. And hello, Patrick. Chrissy, can you show me some examples of physics with algebra questions? Chrissy, I'm not really sure in that directly what I could give you that'd be beneficial to you. A determinant 315. It's been a long time. I love it since I've handled anything with matrices. So it'd have to be something that I would definitely be. It's been a while since I actually never, in all my years of teaching, I've never actually had to teach matrices. So, and that's, I don't know why. But just kind of things that all the courses that I've always taught have just held out matrices. So, but one of the things I am looking into doing is actually expanding a little bit more into that. Expansion. I'd have to look more into that video for that one. Well, you're very happy to help you out, Nishant. Can you do some Algebra 1 problems? Sure. If you have a question, David, you're more than welcome to go ahead and send them, shoot them over. We're in the open portion of the Q&A. Christine, trying to get an idea what it'd be like to take. Well, I mean, physics is pretty broad. You're going to be dealing with a lot of like equations. You can think of like a lot of particle motions, kind of questions from there. But I mean, I would just, kind of look at a general physics, text that's available online, or look at, some supporting documents from there. And I'm not sure if you're in college or in high school, but just try to look at and based on, it's all really also going to be relative to what math you're taking. If you're taking algebra based or a calculus based physics course, that's going to differ on the complexity of the course as well. I would need to take a look at more of that problem. That's from there. Can you help me with the Oxford MIT admissions test question? Maybe not. You're more than welcome to submit any other questions. A lot of the ones that I actually need to work out, anything like that. I mean, this open live Q&A, I'm happy to address any other, questions that I possibly can, but I'm not going to be able to get to every single type of question or be able to answer every kind of question in the live portion. That's why I always need you guys to submit them previously. So therefore I have time to look at them and spend all the time just kind of, if I need something that I need to like just double check or research, that's usually what I like to do. Do you explain calculus in a live stream? Or do you explain a whole calculus in a live stream? No, but I have a ton of playlists of when I was teaching calculus that you can definitely go ahead and take a look at. Bricks, I didn't get to your question. It'll be college and algebra. Yeah, and algebra-based physics. Okay, I got you, Chrissy. I don't have I'm not a physics teacher, nor have I ever taught physics, so I don't have a great examples for you, but I would just take a look at, I would see what's available online to, as far as like an algebra based calculus course, see what kind of text and syllabus, is available. How do you write in correct order? I submitted my question. I'm not sure what you mean. Well, I didn't get to all my questions, Bricks, for you on that. So I do apologize for that. But that's one thing I'm trying to do a little bit differently this year or for these live streams is not to go, not to submit, not to try to answer every single question, that I have, trying to get to at least like 3 questions that we can go through and then go from there. But I'm not sure what you mean the correct order of submitting the questions. You just want me to label all the transformations for that function? Let me know about that. Hillary Mellows asked me to... So if you have something that you guys would like me to talk about more broadly, then please feel free to let me know in the submission. And again, if you guys see, you can see that there is also there's a link above that has been pinned that you guys can go ahead and submit your questions to, or also you can go ahead and go to the Discord server and post any questions there. Those are definitely ways that you guys can go ahead and get questions on those type of topics from there. Caitlin, you are very welcome. Happy to be able to help you guys out. And what time is it? Well, in Eastern Standard Time, where the time zone that I am, it is in 9:21. Well, hello. I believe it's Rise, maybe. Tukram, good to have you on this stream. Happy to help you on. So I know it's a little odd. I know for some of you it might be in school, some of you might be in summer session, whatever else. I will still be doing these live streams for you guys. I'm also looking to add an extra live stream. I'm thinking about maybe doing something on Tuesday as well for you guys. And that way I can just kind of cover a little bit more questions for you guys each and every week, just because also it's a little bit, sometimes gets heavy doing all of these live streams every Sunday night and taking so much long from that. So I think one thing I'm going to try to do is talk about that. But all right, Bricks, you did ask a question, or you got your question. So let me just go and I'll address your question real quick. And then I'll kind of end it, because I did want one thing to, I just want to say hi to you guys, but it's sometimes whenever I say the open live Q&A, I always get like a ton of questions that people want me to do. And it's always sometimes difficult. Okay. So Now, the problem is we have no idea what this function is, right? Okay. So the one thing I want you to know is anything that's inside this is what we call inside. Anything that's inside is going to be a horizontal transformation, okay? Anything is that in front of the fx or outside or after the fx is what we consider outside, okay? Now, outside is going to be what we call a up and down transformation, all right? So right now we have a one inside, right? This is +5. Now, I don't want to get through all the things, but again, if you're adding, that's a shift, right? So add, or I guess subtract, right, is going to be a shift. If you have a multiply, or you could say a divide, that's going to be a stretch. Now, you could say like a stretch or compression, right? But we'll just keep everything stretched with a stretch. Okay, so in this case here, I have a 5. Now, this is a shift, but it's actually not a shift to the right. It's actually a shift to the left, all right? So that is going to be a, we'll call this a, we'll say left. Yeah, shift left 5. Okay. All right. So now that's the only one that's inside. All right. So that'd be inside. We got that one. Now let's talk about our two outside ones. Okay. So we have a shift on the outside. Well, if your shift in the inside is left or right, then your shift in the outside is going to be up or down. So we could say that is going to be a down 3 units. All right. Then the next thing that we have is we have a -2 in front. Now, I talked about multiplying, right? So that's going to be a stretch, which it is. So the 2 is going to be a multiplication. That means it's going to be a vertical shift. So we could say a vertical stretch. Now, if that 2 was less than 1 or greater than 0, then that'd be a vertical compression. But in this case, since 2 is larger than 1, it's a vertical stretch. And then the negative, once it's a negative, that does is what that reflects it. Now, if you want to do a reflection about the vertical, right, something vertical, because remember, it's outside, right? Therefore, if you're going to reflect vertically, that means it's going to be a reflection about the x-axis. So you could say reflect the x-axis. Bam. All right. Cool. So that is about all I have time for you guys in on tonight. Thank you so much for joining in. If you guys do have other questions, please go ahead and submit them either on the link or go ahead and go to the Discord link as well, and you guys submit your questions. I do plan on adding an extra live stream, so hopefully I can go ahead and reach you guys at a different time and get your questions, and hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed a little bit doing kind of a little bit more straight to the point, not as much longer live stream. I'm probably going to shorten this down a little bit more and get directly into your questions. So let me know what you guys thought about this. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next stream. All right, guys, cheers.